Hi guys, it's Andy from Man City Fan TV. This is the Rotherham preview, and what we're going to do is speak to a YouTuber from Rotherham United, and he's called Smithy Boy. And what I did was send him some questions. Now the problem being is that I've been after him since last night with some questions that I sent him about Rotherham, trying to learn a little bit more, but he's not replied today, and so I don't know whether he's working or what. But what I'll do is I'll show you the videos that he said, the questions, sorry, that he said to me, and I'll do my best to answer them, and then talk about the Rotherham game tomorrow. So, first question from Smithy Boy.
Hi, I'm Smithy Boy on YouTube, and I'm just going to be asking you some questions about City. The first question is, how do you think your squad could be improved?
So, how can we improve our squad? We could be here literally all day talking about it. I think most City fans will turn around and say that we need a left back cover, proper left back cover for Benjamin Mendy, and we need cover for Fernandinho. Now, it's really difficult, certainly right at this moment in time. In January, the transfer window is never the best, and certainly the best players around in those positions don't really want to leave their clubs, because they're still, most of them are still in Champions League football. So, yeah, and plus if you're going to pay a massive premium to get the type of players that we might be after. So it really wouldn't surprise me if we don't buy anybody in the January transfer window in those positions, and we wait until the summer where we can throw a load of money at it and get the players we actually need to suit Pep's system. It's one thing buying players, it's another sort of Pep looking long term, and the club looking long term at a particular player who can play in that particular position. And we've seen it with the purchases we've had with Bernardo Silva, with Leroy Sané, Sterling, Kevin De Bruyne, etc., etc. So I'd be really surprised if we actually go and purchase a player just as some type of coverage, because I think Ben Mendy will be back by the end of January, and we've got Delph there. We saw against the Liverpool game we've got Laporte, and so that's the only players. And one other, you could possibly say another striker. There's the likes of Lucas Nemecha, who's out on loan, who could potentially come back, but we've seen when Sergio's been out injured, Gabby's had his chance and hasn't really took it with, grabbed it with both hands. But he's only young, so maybe another striker to put a little bit of pressure on to Gabby. Other than that, I can't think of anywhere really. Maybe right back coverage. We've got Danilo, but we've got the likes of Luke Bolton as well, who's coming through the EDS. So they're the areas that I would look at.
The next one is, where do you think City will come in the league? So
where will City come in the league? I've said it right from word go. I think we'll win it. I still said it before the Liverpool game on Thursday night. I just think we've got such an in-depth squad. We're now after all this time potentially getting our three midfielders back with Fernandinho, David Silva and Kevin De Bruyne. Those three were absolutely crucial last year, and we've not had one game where they've all played together this season. So I think with Kevin De Bruyne coming back, Fernandinho, David Silva coming back for an injury. I know he wasn't great on Thursday, but to have those three back in particular, I think is massive. And then we've got the likes of Ben Mendy back as well, and Sergio Aguero now finding his form. So yeah, I just think we've got amazing squad of players that Pep can rotate, and he's going to need to, because we've got Carabao Cup on Wednesday. We've got you guys tomorrow. We've got the Carabao Cup on Wednesday against Burton, semi-final, first leg. And then we've got Schalke coming up. And we've got that running of games and FA Cup games and everything else. So that squad depth is going to be absolutely crucial, certainly in the running. And we've got players who've been there and done it. And it is one thing being 4 points in front and clear in the Premier League, but when you get to those final sort of 10 games, that's when that experience really, really counts. And we've seen it, we've been there, we've done it, we've come from behind, bigger margins than 4 points. We've come from behind and had that consistency. And I think the fact that we've had players coming back from injury who've been rested effectively, going into this like crazy period at the end of January, February, with all these cup games and everything else, I think it's and the experience, I think it's going to play a massive role. So yeah, I'm firmly in the Man City camp. I think regardless of what happens over the next 4 or 5 games, I think when it comes down to the crunch, and you know what Liverpool fans are, they get so emotional that that pressure builds on the fan base, and the fans then put the pressure on the players and the manager and everything else. And we only have to look what happened in 2014. And so yeah, I'm going for City. I've said it all along, and nothing has changed my mind. Even if we got a draw on Thursday night, I still think we could have clawed back 7 points. So yeah, Man City for me. And if Liverpool win it, fair play to them for holding out for the rest of the season.
Basically, there's rumours, and I've been to a few City games last season, and it's basically with the fans filling the ground. What do you think it would take Man City fans to want to come to the ground? I don't see why they won't want to, because obviously you're playing brilliant football, but what do you think it would take for you to fill your ground week in, week out, even against our little teams like Watford, Huddersfield, Cardiff?
Now, there's 2 parts to this. One is you will see, like today, United were on TV, the stadium at Old Trafford, loads and loads and loads of empty seats, and that happens. And tomorrow against Rotherham, there'll be empty seats there, because certainly in this period of the season, there's games coming thick and fast every 2, 3, 4 days, and fans are just going back to work and everything else. It's nighttime games, it's afternoon games, it's whatever, and sometimes fans can't get to the stadium or can't afford to go to the stadium, because let's face it, it's one thing buying a season ticket, it's another then turning up, paying for parking, paying for petrol, time out, food, etc, etc. So that's one part of it, and it happens at all clubs. Don't let sort of like this myth that United and Liverpool fans and everything created with this empty had thing. I mean, it's absolute garbage, because if you actually looked at last season, the season before, etc., and you look at the percentage of capacity per game, City were 3rd or 4th in the table with 98.1% full capacity. Exactly the same as Liverpool. Now, if you think of the Liverpool fan base, they are, they claim to be this huge, big fan base that die-hard fans go to every game, blah, 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 blah. Well, City, with a capacity that is far greater than Liverpool's, get exactly the same percentage capacity as Liverpool do. If you're going to throw the empty had sort of tag at us, then look at the Emirates. It's never full. It's never full. And if you look at the ones who are top of the list of being full, they're the much smaller clubs, mainly. United claim, I mean, there's all this debate of, Greater Manchester Police said that United had 100% capacity, which is absolute garbage. It's nonsense, because you can go to any Man United game, it doesn't matter who it's against, you can look around and you will see empty seats. So it can't be 100% capacity. It's impossible, because people don't turn up. They may have their season cards, they may purchase tickets, etc, etc, and they don't turn up on the day for whatever reason. It could be problems with the car or travel or family issues or whatever. Nobody fills their stadiums 100%. It's a myth. It's an absolute myth. And to consider that we were in the top 5 when we talk about percentage of full capacity, we were in the top 5 in the Premier League. Now, there were plenty of clubs, big clubs, way below us on that list. So, yeah, it's a myth. It's just a myth that's been created. And like I said, if you can watch the United game this afternoon, that finished an hour or so ago, and absolutely thousands of empty seats, thousands of them. Now, GMP, Greater Manchester Police, were reporting that it's 100% full. Now, most clubs will say it's full because they believe that all the tickets are sold and everyone's going to turn up on the actual day. So as far as selling seats goes, it's full, just like the Liverpool game on Thursday night. We had Liverpool fans saying, "Oh, you're still advertising for tickets." No, it's been sold out for ages. The fact was that sometimes fans can't go and they put it on the ticket exchange so that they can get some money back on their season cards because they can't turn up for whatever reason. Those tickets, certainly for the Liverpool game, absolutely snapped up within minutes. But because it's posted on the exchange site, it shows you that there's tickets still available. But the fact is, it was full, absolutely solid. So there were empty seats, actually. Where we sit, we're quite close to where the away fans are. Only like 20, 30 yards away. And at the back of their section, up in the upper tier of the South Stand, there were empty seats. Now, whether they were all pushing forward and standing up next to mates and things is one thing, but they allegedly sold out their allocation, but there were still empty seats at the back end of their section. So it's a complete myth. It's absolute nonsense. Now, if you want to look at the other side of it and say atmosphere, I agree with you. I mean, and we had this video that we put out yesterday, and we were talking about the atmosphere on Thursday night. It was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, absolutely incredible. The Liverpool fans were silent, and that's another myth. Liverpool make this, oh, look at this, because the TV cameras will show you the 5 minutes before kickoff and the "you'll never walk alone" and all these flags and everything else that goes with this media loving with the likes of Liverpool. But then they're silent, absolutely silent. And certainly Thursday night, they scored a goal, 5 minutes of singing, then suddenly nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I replied to one of their fan channels and said, Huddersfield, Crystal Palace, even Everton fans completely outsung Liverpool fans when I've been there this season. Much louder, non-stop. I mean, these are a club that are created surrounding this myth of atmosphere. You only have to look at last season. They created this whole furore around the bus thing and throwing bottles and bricks and you name it at the city bus. But inside the stadium, certainly at the Etihad in the return leg, we were like, what's going on here? They only sang after they scored. Other than that, silence again. So it's an absolute myth. But I do think that, maybe the atmosphere elements of the Etihad is one of those ones whereby you're in a new stadium. So you're in one of the newer style stadiums, and it is different to what it was like at Main Road, and it is different to, likes at Anfield or, Goodison Park and places like that, where you're much closer to the pitch, and it does sort of give you that, preferred atmosphere, where you're all together. So, yeah, I do think these bigger stadiums don't always sort of lend themselves to that old school sort of atmosphere. But I do think, excuse me, I do think we do need to sort of sing a bit more. But chatting to Ray yesterday, and we were saying in the video, maybe it's sometimes a bit difficult when, certainly last season, when we just were blowing teams apart. I mean, you're almost like sat there watching the game because it's just incredible, absolutely amazing, that sometimes you don't feel the need to sing because you're just so engrossed in the game. I think when you go back to where City fans were sort of, decades ago, 15, 20 years ago, we had to sing because we were going all over the country playing some absolute crap teams, and we had to get behind the team that weren't very good. And I think you do get a bit more of that atmosphere from the sort of lower end teams. I mean, you only have to go to Selhurst Park and look at sort of like Crystal Palace, and no disrespect to those guys, but the atmosphere is absolutely amazing. And how it used to be at Highbury as well. So, yeah, there's a bit of a myth thrown into all of that. Empty seats, noise, blah, blah, blah. But I do agree. I think if we can get up for a game like we did against Liverpool on Thursday, then we should be doing at least a little bit more to get behind the guys. I really do believe that. But sometimes, you know, when you've got a team as good as City, it's just mouth open time and watching it and thinking, wow, this is just incredible that you're not actually singing. So, I don't know, it's not an excuse, but I'm just trying to give you a little bit of reasoning behind your question.
Now, the next one is, who do you think will win the FA Cup? Honestly, you look unbeatable, but you did last season, but Wigan still managed to beat City. That was a massive shock.
So, who's going to win the FA Cup? Who knows? It's one of those thrown in the air. Yeah, we got beat last season by Wigan, and it can happen. It's a cup game, and you'll see tomorrow. I mean, the team, it's going to be nowhere near our strongest 11, and that happens with all the sort of big clubs, really. You only have to look at United today. They beat Reading 2-0 and had a load of kids out, and that'll happen tomorrow. It'll happen with Arsenal and, you know, Liverpool. We have to rotate because we're in the Champions League. We've got a semi-final against Burton, first leg, even though that'll be a weakened team on Wednesday. So yeah, it's who knows. Yeah, we'd like to think it's been a while since we won the FA Cup, so it'd be nice to win it. It really would. So you can pick any. It's going to be one. I think it's going to be one of the big boys. But who's going to win that? Who knows? I mean, it'd be great if we don't win it for one of the lower teams, you know, in the Premier League or Championship to come through and win it like the days of, you know, when we got beat by Wigan at Wembley and that type of sort of result. But yeah, it's put them in a hat, throw them up in the air, and you're probably getting someone out of your top 6 Premier League teams are going to win the FA Cup for me. But I hope it's us.
And then the last one, where do you see City's future, and what do you think is going to happen with the club? Do you think it's going to stay like it is?
So, what do I think of City's future, and do I think it's going to stay where it is? Well, certainly the owner's going nowhere. I mean, that's you know, we talked about myths about empty head and all that type of thing. It's another myth that, you know, the owner, we've heard it for 10 years, the owner's going to get bored, he's going to leave, and the guy's a businessman. The guy is like worth over £20 billion, got his fingers in so many pies in massive businesses, huge businesses. You know, these are not your J.W. Henry who owns Liverpool. I mean, they're nothing compared to the type of business that Sheikh Mansour is involved in. And even our chairman, Khaldoon Al-Mubarak, sits on, you know, the CEO of Mudabala, one of the biggest companies in the world, and, you know, owns sort of part Ferrari, and this is our chairman, not our owner. So the money is irrelevant. The owner as a project, and we all, as City fans, understand the reasoning behind purchasing Manchester City. We get that. We're not stupid. We're not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna go into all the details of FFP and, you know, human rights and all that garbage that comes out. Of course, City were purchased as part of a strategy, an overall strategy package, and we've got obviously Melbourne and New York, and we've ventured into other areas of the world as well, and there'll be more teams purchased by the City Football Group. So we're not stupid to think, you know, Sheikh Mansour was a City fan and he just was desperate. I mean, that's, you know, no City fan I know would even, you know, contemplate saying anything like that. But the fact is, he is going absolutely nowhere. I mean, the other thing you need to realise is that he has invested so much money. It's one thing buying a club, and it's the next level is what most fans want, and the likes of Newcastle fans, etc., is investment in, you know, players. Well, he's done that. He's not only bought the club, he's not only reduced the debts to zero, and you know, not many clubs have a debt of 0, and we have. He's not only turned the deficits year in year out into £521 million turnover and into massive profit. What he's done also is invested so much into the local community. That area was around the Etihad Stadium was really run down, and there were people, literally on the seat of the pants, on their arse basically, and there was not a lot going on in that region and in that particular area, for the youth, for kids growing up. What he's done in building the academy and investing sort of 220-30 million pounds into building the best academy in world football, from a facilities point of view, is regenerated the area. He's actually put £1 billion investment promise with Manchester City Council for local area regeneration and houses and apartments and schools and things like that. I mean, that area is completely different to what it was like 10 years ago, and it's only going to get better. There's still lots of areas that still need improving, but he's got this promise, this commitment with Manchester City Council that is a £1 billion investment. I mean, you name me another owner in world football that has come in, spent over £200 million to build an academy, to reduce a club's debt from where it was with Manchester City to 0, to now making a massive profit, who has had any conversations with local authorities to invest £1 billion into the regeneration of an area surrounding that stadium. You only have to look at Man United. Outside Old Trafford, not far away, there is a local sort of like 7-a-side, 5-a-side sort of stadium building that has been running out of funds for the last year and now is at the point of closure. What have United done about that to still make sure that kids have got somewhere to go? Nothing, absolutely nothing. And it's that type of investment into the community that Sheikh Mansour has brought to the club, not just from a player point of view and everything else, but the outside investment in the city and the community projects has been absolutely amazing. He's not only done it here, he's done it in New York as well, and he's done it in Melbourne. And lots of money has been invested, certainly in downtown New York, where he's put rooftop pitches and things like that, where kids in the community where had nowhere to go can now go in these buildings on the roof and play football in a secure area. Lots of local community projects as well. So he's going nowhere. He's going absolutely nowhere, because each one of these business sort of, regeneration projects and football club projects, etc., expands the Abu Dhabi profile, and that's ultimately what they're about. And we're realistic to know that. But that doesn't mean to say that we shouldn't be proud of what he's done, just because he might not be a City fan, originally. I think most clubs, if fans were really honest, and whether that be from Carlisle United to Grimsby to Scarborough to Rotherham to Bradford to anywhere, any of these clubs, if somebody came in and said, look, what we're going to do is we're going to invest, let's say £100 million, but we're also going to invest exactly the same amount into your local community, and we're going to build projects and places where, like it around the Etihad, where kids from the local community can play football free of charge in around the academy. And if they did that in places like Bradford and Rotherham and others that I mentioned before, I don't think any fan would care whether that investor was a Rotherham fan or a Bradford fan. When they see how it changes, and imagine coming to Rotherham and saying, we'll give you £100 million, we'll clear the debts within a few years, 3-4 years, we'll clear all the debts of the club, you'll start turning over a profit. You'll see much better players. You'll move up a league. You'll start winning something, and we'll build you a really nice sort of £20 million academy for your kids in the local area to play at, and for the first team players to train at. And we'll also put in exactly the same amount of money into the local area to, you know, regenerate sort of new housing projects and things like that. And we'll work with the Rotherham local council. Can you think of any fan that would turn that away? No. It's the opposition fans that don't like that because their clubs don't do it. It's that simple. So, hope that answers your question.
One more. Who do you think will win the Champions League? City, they have a really good attack. That's what you need, but you need a better luck in the Champions League. So where do you think you're coming in the Champions League?
Okay, so who is going to win the Champions League? It's like the FA Cup. It's one of those. It's so many good teams in it. We've seen amazing sort of 3 years of Real Madrid and what they've done. And you've got teams like Barcelona and PSG are strong. And then we can't discount the teams that are already in it from the Premier League. You know, Spurs getting through. I mean, sometimes you need luck to win the Champions League. There's no doubt about it. We only have to look at the two Liverpool games for us in the quarterfinals. You know, bit of luck at Liverpool that they got, and then again in the home leg we score an early goal, then we go on and score a perfectly normal second goal that would have put us 2-0 up at half time. Massive pressure on Liverpool then, but it gets disallowed for no reason whatsoever. So it turned the tide of the game. You know, that emotion, that fan, you know, noise, that everything would have been put onto Liverpool in that second half, but they got the luck, and you need luck without a shadow of a doubt to win the Champions League. You need a very, very good squad, because you need to rotate in games, because certainly when they're over 2 legs. And then you do need that luck, and you need your players coming into form at the right time, rested as well. And yeah, it's, who knows? And would it? It's not for me. Me personally, it's not my priority. I mean, I'd much rather get back-to-back Premier League titles this season than the Champions League. I've said it all along. To win back-to-back Premier League titles is very, very difficult. That's why no one's done it in 10 years. And it's such a feat. It shows consistency over 38 games over a couple of years. So I'd much rather us get back-to-back Premier League titles than win the Champions League. So there you go. That's the questions from Smithy boy. Thanks for that. Shame you couldn't answer mine. But anyway, moving on tomorrow. I'll be at the Rotherham game. So if you want to come and have a chat with us, don't forget we're always around the Blue Moon Cafe, around the back of the City store. And yeah, I mean, as far as the team goes, who knows? I know there's an EDS game going on at the moment, so it might be worthwhile having a look at see who is included in that EDS squad. To see who might be playing and starting tomorrow. I can definitely see the likes of Muric playing. Hopefully Luke Bolton might come back. We might see maybe Eric Garcia playing alongside maybe Otamendi or somebody like that, and Zinchenko at left back. And then moving into the midfield, be surprised if we don't see Gundogan and then Phil Foden playing with potentially David Silva as captain. Up front, you're going to see Gabby, I'm sure. We're going to see Gabby Jesus. And then Riyad Mahrez definitely plays tomorrow. And then whoever plays on the other side would have been Diaz, but he's gone to Real Madrid today. So, yeah, I mean, let's hope we see some of the kids. And yeah, it's going to be a good game. Let's hope Rotherham come at us and have a go. And yeah, we'll see where it takes us. So anyway, this is Andy from Man City Fan TV. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 6,000 subscriber marks, which is brilliant. So come and see us at the game. This is Andy from Man City Fan TV. I want to say a big thanks to Smithy boy, even though he couldn't answer my questions. And we'll see you soon.